Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Season 4, Episode 22. It's called World's End. It's the season finale, of course. And so full spoilers for the episode as always. First things first, we did get renewed since the last episode,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
It's the
nice.
season finale, but not the show finale.
And they confirmed it's a 22 episode season. It's going to start a little bit
They
later though,
did.
because Inhumans is going to share the same slot, and then S.h.i.e.L.D.'s going to take that slot, which happens to be on a Friday. So for the first time, I believe, in the show's history, it's
Yeah,
not on a Tuesday when it comes
yeah,
back.
we're moving, and obviously we know Inhumans is starting mid-September-ish. So we got a rough time of when we can expect Shield back.
Yeah, early to mid-November, basically, is when. So it's a bit later, but it means less breaks, potentially. So.
Yeah, and that's assuming they don't just at that point decide to go till after the Christmas break and give us it all in one bigger chunk after, which would be interesting.
Yeah, pluses and negatives to both, I think. Part of me wants it quicker, just so that I get it again
Yeah,
sooner,
but
but
how good would it be to wait the extra month and then have it uninterrupted?
just 22 straight weeks.
How amazing would that be?
That'd be pretty nice. That'd be pretty nice. But let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about the wrap
We
up to
should.
this. That was pretty solid. I don't think it's a high point of the season, but that's not a criticism of this episode. It's more that this season's just had like two or three
Yeah,
episodes
yeah.
that have been
This
stellar.
was the natural culmination of everything that it needed to be. So in
Yeah.
that sense, it fulfilled its job perfectly.
Yeah, we had Ghost Rider back. Yeah, there's some cool team up with Ghost Rider and Sky, which even Coulson was annoyed that he missed. He's like, "What? Come on, you two were
So
teaming
good.
up!" And yeah, I like that moment. Do you know what's funny? Because the moment musically that I really liked was when it was the LMD coming in and shot Talbot, and thankfully Talbot's not dead. I was really worried there for a second because he got shot
Yeah,
in the
me
head.
too.
I was like, proper.
Yeah, I was like, oh damn, Tablet.
If I've got a complaint about this episode is that I think they do too many. Oh, I think one of them's dead, and then oh no, they're not, because it does it like
Yeah.
three times.
And do you know what the worst part is? It got me every time.
Yeah, and to, yes, and one of them was turned out to be an LMD. We'll get to that.
Hmm.
One of them was just he's been shot in the head, but he's survived, and then the other one was just your sort of typical oh did he get out at the last second kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like when it got to the last one, when it got to Mac, I was like. Oh come on! If he's not dead, I'm happy he's not dead, but I'm calling bullshit because this is the third time this episode you've.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, part of me wanted him to be dead. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy he's around because he's a great
Yes.
character, but that goodbye with Daisy a couple of episodes ago, it was such a send off that if that had been it, it would have worked so well.
I didn't want him to die mainly because I felt like the way it ended with hope, right? Because obviously we kept talking about how's this going to end. The idea that stuff in this world is vanishing as it crumbles. The idea that he sees her vanish. So for the final moment, he knows she's not here anymore. So he might as well leave at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
she's not
yeah.
here. Um, but I thought that was a really sweet moment. I thought him trying to convince her that everything was okay, and then her just poof
Yeah,
into
it
thin
felt
air.
maybe ultimately a little bit cheap that everyone kind of got out okay when they pulled it so many times.
Hey, poor Mace. Come on now.
I mean, in this episode.
Okay, in this episode, right? Fine, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Uh, but I'm glad. But at the same time, I want him to be around.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
don't want anyone to die. I just,
yeah,
it's they can't win, can they?
um, I did like that they tricked Ada though with Simmons. That was. Don't get me wrong. I was going through an emotional roller coaster during the
Yeah,
scene,
yeah, yeah, huh?
thinking that she was in trouble, and then she was in trouble, and she got stabbed, and then electrocuted, and it was all going very badly. Uh, So I'm not gonna lie, there was a genuine like, and do you know what I love about it is that we should have really. I mean, they already tricked us earlier with Sky LMD, right?
Yeah, so we
But
should have known.
yeah, so that's actually what I was getting to. I liked the version of her theme that played as she was because it almost felt like she was coming in to like save the day and like beat the Russians, and then
Mm.
she shoots Talbot in the head. But for a moment, her theme kicks in and she kicks open the door, and it feels like a big thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Then later, there's
it's
like another version of her theme when her and Ghost Rider are like mixing and
yeah,
matching their
yeah. I was
powers.
gonna say, I forgot how much I actually really like the Ghost Rider theme.
Hmm.
I'd forgotten. I haven't heard it in so long. I was like, oh yeah, it's a good theme.
Yeah, but it was mixing and matching their stuff as they were
Yeah, it was
teaming
good
up.
stuff.
In fact, one of my favourite little moments of that scene was before all the action goes down, and Sky just has this smirk on her face because she knows she's got Ghost Rider on her side
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just came from behind, and Ada looks worried. It's glorious.
It's great.
Ada continues to be a fantastic villain, especially in that scene where she thought she was killing Simmons. Everything in that scene,
She is manically crazy and utterly terrifying.
I'm going to kill everyone you care about in front of you, and then kisses him on the cheek. That was just
Ah,
gloriously evil. Actually, I think the actress has a great range, and one of my favourite things in this episode that I was noticing is how she even stands differently now that she's not
yeah.
Ada, that she's now a human being.
It's a little bit more relaxed, isn't
Yeah,
it?
she had her hand in her pocket at one point, and she was sort of sloping against the table, and I'm like, she
Mm,
never did that as Ada. She's
yeah.
holding, even the way she's carrying herself, just in general, sort of like
And do you know what's
situations is
so great
different.
about it? Obviously, with Ada, everything was so in subtle little things here
Mm.
and there, whereas as Ophelia, everything's so over the top and it's to extremes that she gets to overact almost, but it works because that's the point.
Yeah, yeah, because she's feeling them for the first time, so she's over. She doesn't know how to dampen anything. She
Yeah,
doesn't know how
yeah,
to hold anything in. She's just doing everything. She's again, the last episode, she was referred to as an infant, and it's kind of like that.
pretty much.
But she's got all these powers and can kill us all. But of course, they eventually beat her with the Ghost Rider, but the Ghost Rider's not in Robbie when the Ghost Rider beats her. The Ghost Rider is in Coulson.
It was a cool swerve, wasn't it?
It was a cool swerve. It made for a pretty cool moment watching her get burned alive. I do. Well, obviously, there's a little bit of tease here because Robbie talks to him afterwards, like, "Yeah, well, I'm just glad the Ghost Rider went back to you like it was supposed to," and Robbie says, "But you do know why the Rider was eager to make that deal in the first place." He's like, "Yeah, and I appreciate it if we kept that to ourselves." And then there's that
Mm.
other moment before he leaves because he makes his portal with his chain, and he says, "I don't envy you."
Do you know what? A small little connective touch for the MCU stuff. I loved how
Hmm.
that Paul looked the same as the ones in Doctor Strange.
Well,
You
actually,
know, I don't.
I thought there was some other cool little. I thought the whole ending thing with the diner felt very Avengers.
It did, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I just while we're on that one, I didn't necessarily love Doctor Strange, but I thought his visual style was pretty great, and I like just it makes sense that the portals are the same because same world.
They're both sort of part of the magic
Yeah,
realm of things. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, the Darkhold feels like something that Doctor Strange may get his hands on, like
yeah, exactly. I
in
mean,
a
they
movie.
won't because no chance the movies will actually bother tying into Shield, but
If the movies should tie into Shield. They should
they
want to tie into
should.
Shield. They should
They should.
aspire to what Shield's doing right now.
Man, if those movies were half as good as Shield consistently,
That sounds like we're shitting on all the movies. We're not. There's some really good movies, but
there are, but Shield's still better than
most of
most.
them, most of them.
Most, yeah.
But nah. So yeah, so that's a tease. My initial thought is that Coulson's dying.
Dying, or it's maybe it's something to do with when he died before,
Yes.
early on Avengers and all that stuff. But maybe he didn't entirely come back like
Yeah,
this whole time.
he's kind of like a vessel, like a halfway kind of vessel kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he could be dying. Obviously, there was a couple of things with him and May. May kind of getting to the bottom of what what was going on and why that goddamn bottle's missing.
she is really stuck on this bottle.
Yeah. But they kind of have a moment of acknowledgement where he kind of admits what was going on without saying it outright, and they kind of
Yeah,
agree,
yeah.
oh, maybe we should talk about this later properly.
Mm.
So that's fair. Um, but aye, so but here's one of my concerns was early on. So you have the LMD Sky come in and shoot Talbot, and I thought, oh wait a minute, we ended last season with her going on the run and her being a fugitive. Are we really going to set that up again for like going
Yeah.
into the new season? I was a little bit worried that we're going to go down that route. And I thought, oh, hopefully they fix this by the end of the episode. And they didn't quite fix it, but what they did instead was they made it the whole team. So her speech to Fitz about how going off on her own was a mistake and realising that being a part of the team is important. And then the fact that it's kind of the same as the end of last season, except this time it's all of them are
Yeah.
fugitives together.
And also, you know how the last couple we've been saying that first arc wasn't maybe as relevant. Now, obviously, this had Ghost Rider, which is obviously the surface level, but this whole thematic idea, is that played into that whole first arc of we need to get her back on the team. We need to become a
Yeah.
team again.
Even Eda's whole plan of turning fear onto the Inhumans to build the real world like her Hydra
Yeah, yeah.
world is using the inhuman fear and hate and all that stuff from that first part of the season where we had
Yeah,
the watchdogs
definitely.
and all that. So no, all that ties in really nicely. And I actually really like that scene because Fitz is basically like, look, this is my fault. I need to repent for all this. I need to do this. And everyone's standing around, and Sky's the one who says, no, don't, no, you're not doing this. We're a team, goddammit. I did this. I made that mistake, and we all have to live through this. And my favourite part, and obviously his acting was great last week. It was great again this week. The way he couldn't look at people in the face, the way he kept kind of like, it was really
Yeah,
awkward
and
the
the
whole
way he
time.
sells it to Ophelia.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But that final scene at the end when he wipes a tear away, when he feels like it doesn't really matter what he's done, his family's just kind of like, no, there's nothing to forgive, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you get a clean slate because you're our little brother or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
it
he
was kind
does
of
that to,
perfect.
twice in this episode. That's one, and the other one is after it reveals the Simmons thing, and he looks down at the body, but he still has the tear because he was just imagining it, and that was enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And such a great little moment.
So despite the fact that they're all being arrested at the end, we have the Avengers style scene where they're in the diner and they're all having some food. So despite the fact they get arrested and it feels like a sinister ending because the lights go out and we see this shadowy person who's running whoever's taking them in. It's actually quite an uplifting ending because the team's back together and they're probably united stronger than ever. The experience of Mac losing his daughter has brought him closer to Yo-Yo even.
Yeah, they may be very far apart physically based on the post credits. I'm not entirely sure of that,
They could all be in
but
space.
they could all be there. But I'm not. All I'm saying is I'm not sure.
So yeah,
But
obviously,
in spirit, they're all close
so
together.
obviously the post credit scene is Coulson wakes up and he flips open the shutter and he's in space.
It's
Which is
one hell of a shot.
it's one hell of a thing to end your season on. So that was pretty cool. Speaking of things that look good, during the Ghost Rider Coulson Ada like struggle when he's got her chained up
Yeah,
and they're falling through the sky in the street
mm,
before they teleport again, I thought that was pretty badass. Looked quite cool.
that's true.
Um,
It was first I noticed actually. The jet the small jet when it docks into the big one.
it retracts the wings in first, and it.
Yeah, yeah. But it just dawned on me how for the first couple of seasons the CG was really kind of wonky, and they would never have shown things like that they didn't have to. Whereas
Yeah.
now they're like, no, we can show this 3 second thing just as an establishing shot because we can now.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Obviously, effects aren't always amazing, but they were mostly holding up pretty well. Some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we have that ending. We have this tease that presumably there's been a bit of a time jump, unless like this whole thing that him and Robbie were talking about is implying that I don't know that there's a real Coulson out there who's like in space right now. I don't know. That's probably just me jumping off the deep end. It's probably the future.
Yeah, I got future, given that they were
Yeah.
taken, and then because obviously they did that weird time freeze thing.
Yeah, they all couldn't move. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they had that little device, and then we cut to this. So it felt like this was just the future because we got that at the end of last season as well, didn't we? Where we got the
Yeah.
little look ahead where they were chasing after
So,
Daisy.
so I'm wondering if like we open next season and the team get back together, but Coulson's missing. Then they're trying to find him, but obviously we know he's not even on the planet.
Yeah, Shield does it always gets bigger, doesn't it?
It
How do
apparently
you
it
get bigger?
does.
Let's go to goddamn space.
Well, technically we've already been on a planet on the other side of the universe.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but this is that was like a one episode thing, and then like little bits here and there. This is he's on a ship in space.
I'm cool to do space stuff. All right, if they want to
Yeah,
get some smaller characters from Guardians or something to have like a plot, like
that
go
would be
for it.
cool.
Go for it. Get his James Gunner's brother, the one.
Yeah,
get him, the Ravager. Get him in the
yeah.
show. I feel like he's not big enough that he can do a TV arc.
No, no, you're right.
That'd be fun. Obviously, I really liked Radcliffe's ending.
Oh man, that one actually was one of the hardest hitting ones for me.
Because we know he's dead. He's doomed. Like he can't come back to the
Yeah,
real
and
world.
he knows that.
Yeah, and there's this moment where he's saluting. He's on the ocean, on the beach, saluting to the ocean, and he's giving a little speech saying he's kind of accepted that he's not immortal and it wasn't worth living anyway if he couldn't have his beloved Agnes with him. How's he going to look on the face now after that same face has done so much evil? But
Yeah,
I guess you see it
but
in the eyes.
it's truly redeemed him. Like he's gone through so many ups and downs, and obviously he was on a high already from last week.
Yeah, but
before.
even though he was trying to save Yo-Yo this episode, though, it really solidified that he has turned around and he's
Yeah,
became someone
he's a
who's
good guy.
redemptive.
He occasionally makes mistakes,
Yeah, and
but it
perhaps
makes him a real person.
yeah, and perhaps Fitz seeing this and seeing that like how far it can go, like, it'll stop him from tampering with things, isn't it? Because obviously he was largely responsible for a lot of the Ada stuff that's went
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that's the thing. Like he kind of had a similar trajectory in the sense that he'd just get so invested in an idea that he'd get caught up in it. Consequences be damned. And maybe this will instill a bit more caution in him.
Also, I want to point out that Sky in this episode referred to the portal to hell as a hellmouth,
I saw that too, and I was like, very good.
which you may remember the word hellmouth from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Normally I give you shit for bringing that up, but A, this is a Whedon show anyway,
And
so
B, that's a reference.
that was a reference. So
Yes.
I'll let you off this one.
That was a proper reference.
Yes, it was.
So that's fun. It's fun, actually, talking about that. It actually, in a weird way, kind of reminds me of season 4 of Buffy. In the way that they kind of grow further apart over the season, then in the last couple of episodes they realise that they're family and they come back together. Like there's a kind of a thematic link there, and even the idea of like the science and the villain in season 4 of Buffy was kind of a robot kind of hybrid kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
That's my point out. There's some
Now,
parallels.
now let's see if we can use that to predict season 5.
What is the Marvel equivalent of glory? Oh God, something bad's happened at the end of the season. I just
I was
just thinking of season 5 of Buffy, like something bad's
It's-
going to happen. Oh jeez.
It's next season we'll have this larger than life feel, like, because this season Ada was very personal to everyone, and then you had the Russian who was kind of throwaway. But
it was treated as such, so that's okay.
Exactly. But then next season, I mean, it's larger than life. It's just something that looms over everyone, even though it's not necessarily a personal connection.
Yeah, something proper evil. So if Sky suddenly has like a little sister that she remembers always having, there'll be some true parallels to Buffy.
Yeah, that's the minute where I go, okay, you've just pulled me out of this now.
You're just
One
doing the
step
same
too far.
thing.
Like I liked it in Buffy. Don't get me wrong. I've no problems with it there. But if you do the same thing here,
Yeah. Now, I obviously really like this season a lot. I think especially these final 2 arcs of this season has been the strongest the show has ever been.
absolutely. And I like the first arc more in retrospect after this episode. Like I think it's fine on its own, but the way it actually influences this episode makes it better.
It was kind of what I said last week, how these last 2 episodes feel like a culmination of all 3 arcs this season and not just the most recent one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have killer robots running around again. We have Ghost Rider. We have these themes of, them being on the run from the start of the season. Plus, we have the conclusion to the framework. Like all of it, it just feels all of it came together.
Yeah, it was
this was a
excellently paced.
very well constructed season. I think the only thing is that first arc, which was longer, that was 8 episodes. The uncle stuff wasn't as interesting, so maybe that should have been the one that had an episode less. Maybe give an extra episode to one of these later 2 arcs. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's this is a mild complaint. This is a mild, because this really has been, I think, overall the strongest season because of these last 2 arcs.
Absolutely. Some stuff's not quite finished yet, but this is probably my favorite network show this season.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's definitely been the most consistent.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And it, like the only other thing that's been as consistent was probably Legends, but this grew.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe upon some season finals coming up, I might change my mind. But I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, I think this will clearly be the high point of the season.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
In terms of network shows, obviously, when you start comparing it to the cable stuff, you get a whole different fight.
Yeah, it's just easy to compare network because they all run from the same time to same time, give or take.
Run from the same time, but they have a similar number of episodes. But I think it's just you don't compare the quality of the network stuff to the cable stuff in quite the same way. And I think in network stuff, this is definitely the strongest show this year. I mean, argument can be made for something like Exorcist, but then you're like, well, they only had 10 episodes though, so it's kind of having its cake and eating it too, if we're
Yeah,
comparing that
yeah.
with that. So it's harder. But I'm glad it's coming back. I'm glad we can look forward to it. The fact that the guy who did Iron Fist is making me sit through 8 episodes of Inhumans before I get to more S.h.i.e.L.D. is a bit upsetting.
But here's the
But,
question.
yes.
Right. So this is you get it before Shield, and then you just get Shield. Would you prefer that, or going back to the Agent Carter style, where it was Shield, then Agent Carter? Oh, now you can have Shield back.
I think if it was like this season though, where it was in a clear arc that had an ending before Christmas, I'd actually be okay with that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because they've kind of perfected that aspect of this, where every time they went on a break, it was a nice clean point because it felt like the end of a section.
No, I agree with that. I just feel like I'd rather get something done out of the way first, then go, right, just enjoy Shield now. I don't have to sit through something else and go, ugh, I wish this was Shield constantly.
Yeah, but we're going to do that anyway.
Well, okay, yeah, but I don't have to go, oh, I just want I just want that cliffhanger answered from from 2 weeks ago.
For the record, we're obviously going to give Iron Fist, Inhumans a proper chance. It'll get a fair shake. It's the same showrunner as Iron Fist, so our expectations right now are pretty dim on it. Cause,
yeah.
Because Iron Fist was a bit of a chore.
It's one of the worst shows we've ever watched.
To be fair, is Inhuman something we can drop if we hate it? Because we did eventually drop Agent Carter.
We did.
And
because Iron Fist got its pass by being...
It's part of the Defenders kind of thing. It's the same reason why we watch Arrow with the Flash and stuff like that. Now, Inhumans, of course, will be in-universe, but I'm just wondering, like, will it actually... Because it's not like we force ourselves through Gotham.
No, the only thing is if they play Inhumans with the S.h.i.e.L.D. connection, I'll feel more obligated.
Which they might, because they're both TV now, as opposed to one being a movie.
Right, exactly. If they play it through that route, I might feel more obligated, as it'll feel like, now this is part of the S.h.i.e.L.D. narrative.
It may feel that way, because especially if the royal Inhuman family show up on their city.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that set up a status quo for S.h.i.e.L.D. where Sky's with S.h.i.E.L.D. and going, hey, there's all these new Inhumans around and there's a city up there.
And what if that's the reason it's before S.h.i.E.L.D.?
It could be.
Because they want to come back in with that status quo for the start of the
Coulson's
season.
in space, so the idea that we might even visit the moon and stuff like that, it's not...
So I feel like we might have to force ourselves to all
It's only 8 episodes though. It's not 13 like Iron Fist was. That's a plus.
Small mercies.
And maybe because they have to tie it into S.h.i.E.L.D., maybe they're being forced to do things and it'll stop it from being as bad as Iron Fist was.
Well, yeah, that's part of the problem we had with Iron Fist was, every episode was too long, as well as just too many episodes. They can't do that on a network, broadcast network.
Yeah, they'll all be cut down to the sort of the strict schedule.
Maybe this will be one of those weird cases where ABC step in and go, no, you've got to follow our rules. And instead of Netflix's free reign, that'll actually work out better for us.
Might not make it...
I mean, the script might still be utter shite, but...
Yeah, it may not be a crown jewel, but at least it'll be less painful than Iron Fist was, at the very least.
Yeah.
Alright, okay. A little bit of hope. So I'll miss John Hannah. He was really good in the show. He had a nice, really sort of bittersweet ending, which was really nice. The way the glass just dropped and...
Yeah.
Other cliffhangers were good. I'm glad the team's back to feeling a family. It was a very heartwarming episode in the end. After a lot of worrying that certain characters weren't going to make it out. After a certain heartbreaking scene with a daughter, a certain heartbreaking scene with Simmons and Fitz watching her die. But it all worked out in the end.
Can you imagine the end of this episode if this hadn't got the renewal?
Oh god, with the space tea.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd have taken that out though.
Well, yeah, maybe they would have. But then there was still the ending.
No,
before that, with them being taken.
No, what you could do is you could just cut that scene before the lights go off. They're just happy, they're having dinner. Quiet cut to... You have that first, then you have the poignant thing with Radcliffe on the beach, and you have that be the final moment. And it almost worked.
That's true. That is fair, actually, because, like you say, they'd come together, they'd won.
Yeah, so you could have... I could have just rejiggered it, taken away that last scene, swapped 2 of the other scenes, cut off the actual them being taken, just have the happy thing with her in the...
Yeah, at that point, it would have just been a case of, would they have known in time to change it?
In fact, you wouldn't even have to cut the whole thing, you can still have the guys coming in and have them with their hands up, and you can just have like them all be like, "Ah, you found us, good job." Cut to next scene. Like it's just a playful they'll get out of it. They know what they're doing. You could have done it.
You could have.
That said, season 5, yeah.
Thank God.
And given how we were like, oh, they might get a 13 episode season 5. No, full 22. We're in it.
Yeah,
so.
that's really positive sign, because that sets us in a maybe we can get a 6 after that. Like that's possible now.
6 seasons in a movie.
If it had been a 13, we're going, okay, that's it, end of the road, and would have been okay with that. Don't get us wrong. That would have still been 100 episodes. Would have been happy.
That said, I wonder if this might still be the last one, but they're building it up to Infinity War, because this next season will end as Infinity War's coming out.
That's true, and we know that the movies want to, shift after Infinity War.
So it may be a good place for it to, end with this sort of era of the movies where the phase. Then again, technically, it's after Avengers 4 apparently where the phases are going away. So maybe there'll be another season after that, like another year of this current era to still.
Oh, imagine if that final season is set assuming that everything with the end of Infinity War is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
If that final season of season 7 would be set during that, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. And Coulson again is in space, so could there be an easier way to actually have some Infinity connections and teasers? I don't expect them to be that. Obviously it'll be like past connections where it's like ancillary stuff, but he's in space. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a shot at the end of S.h.i.e.L.D. But the episode before Infinity War comes out, maybe he just sees like a ship going through the space or something. Assuming he's still in the cell by that point, and that'll be near the end of the season. I doubt it, but
yeah, maybe he has control of that station by then. That's the new S.h.i.e.L.D. base.
Honestly, I expect that. I'm expecting the new base to be a space station.
Me too.
I'm calling it because S.h.i.e.L.D. had S.h.i.E.L.D., which was the sort of the
other branch.
The other branch of S.h.i.e.L.D. That had a space station. I'm expecting S.h.i.E.L.D. to do
that was the whole thing. S.h.i.e.L.D. looked after Earth, and S.w.o.r.D. looked to the skies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would work.
All right, there you go. That's season 4 S.h.i.E.L.D. That was really, really bloody good. Do you know it's funny? I looked down at the time to see how long we'd been going when I thought we were about to wrap up, and it was like 16 minutes, and now we're nearly 30. So we somehow had a lot more to talk about. But let us know what you thought of the season, and of course the finale itself, in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out. You can help us out a little bit more by going over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV and check out some of the bonuses you can get there if you want to support us there. But if not, that's cool. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters are on the screen. But that's us, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Have you got any vanilla?